I'm going to be your tour guide this morning. Gold! Tears of the sun god Ra. This is the real thing. And the value, $1 million. Alright kids, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Our language, or Wanju. Welcome to the Perth Mint. My name is Jeff and I'm going to be your tour guide this morning. I greeted you in Noongar language because I like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, which in this case is the Woodjuk clan of the Noongar nations. And this site was actually quite important to the clan because they would come and camp in this very location at the start of what we call first spring. From here, excellent fishing in the river, and where Perth CBD is today was a series of lakes, excellent hunting around the lakes. That area was called Boorloo. Now kids, when I say for those kids with sheets, it means where there was water and food and various other things. Alright, so camping in this location, they knew there was excellent hunting at Boorloo. Because this site is so important to the clan, we actually have this magnificent artwork done by a member of the clan named Kevin. Right. But the mint's here now. Does anyone know why the mint is here? Well, here's what happened. Late 1800s, we had a gold rush in Western Australia, which I'm about to talk about shortly. With a gold rush, the prospectors, of course, would bring in their gold. What would they want for their gold? Exactly, money. See, this is an interactive tour. You're allowed to laugh. It's not a problem. So, you're quite correct, money. The coin of the realm at the time was gold sovereigns. So we would take in the gold, ship it by sailing ship to England, who would turn it into gold sovereigns, ship it back to pay the next lot of prospectors. Around and around it went, a very long and slow process. If you went from Western Australia and you found gold, you didn't want to wait for that. You'd take your gold home, and the state was missing out. So the then Premier John Forrest wrote to the British Parliament and said, please, may we build a mint? And they said, yes, of course you can, and hence the mint came into being. For those kids with sheets, it opened in 1899. Construction started in 1896, it opened in 1899, and between 1899 and 1931, the Perth Mint produced over 106 million gold sovereigns, 106 million of them for use around the Commonwealth. As I said, construction started in 1986 and it was overseen by the first Deputy Master of the Mint. His name was John Francis Campbell. What an interesting fellow Mr. Campbell was. Knew nothing about mining, nothing about precious metals, nothing about minting coins. So how did he get the job? Well, that's not actually a story I can tell with young ears around. So if you want to hear that one, ask me at the end of the tour and I'll tell you how he got the job. But what I can tell you is he turned out to be the right man for the job. He was a military man, very focused, organised and very good at problem solving, which is just what you needed to build a mint out here in the colonies. There were lots of problems to be solved. Let me give you a couple of stories. Notice the beautiful white stone used in the arches and doorways, which helped make this such a beautiful building. Nationally heritage listed, it is so gorgeous. That white stone actually came from Rottnest Island. For those overseas people, Rottnest Island is our holiday island, 6.5 kilometres off the coast. So I mentioned back in those days, getting that white stone, digging it up at Rottnest Island, squaring it off and going through the whole process of getting it all the way here to put into place. Well, lots of problems to be solved. Now I could talk about Mr. Campbell all day. but we can't because it would take far too long. I can, however, tell you a couple of quick stories because they're funny. The first is, you might have noticed two main entrances to the building. Two great big green door entrances. Why would you build two entrances into a building? One in, one out, maybe? Doesn't make much sense. What you have to remember is that this is the late 1800s. Very strict class social system across the Commonwealth. You had the gentry, the rich, and the workers, and the two did not mix. So Mr. Campbell wasn't interested in using the same door as the lowly workers. Couldn't have that. So he built two entrances. The entrance on the left is for Perth Mint workers such as myself. The entrance on the right is for gentry and VIP guests such as yourselves. So feel free to use the door on the right. Now, Mr. Campbell married and they lived in those apartments at the top of the building. Beautiful residence, one of the nicest residents in the colonies. Mrs. Campbell loved to entertain, but not a single one of their friends would ever come and visit, because the gentry weren't interested in coming here and bumping into Perth Mint workers. So Mr. Campbell came up with another idea. At 2 p.m. every Tuesday, every single Perth Mint worker was sent to that pub over there. That one there you can see with the green roof, that very pub. So there were no workers left, they were all in the pub. After 2 p.m, the Campbell's guests would arrive. Afternoon tea on the veranda, I should say. The ladies would play croquet on the lawn. This all used to be lawn. And then just before 5 p.m, they'd head into town for cocktails before dinner. All very civilised. After 5 p.m, Perth Mint workers were allowed back. If having spent the afternoon in the pub, you can still legibly sign your name, you're paid for the whole day. Woo! Unfortunately, that tradition ended with the retirement of Mr. Campbell, and I have to work all day on a Tuesday. But it was good while it lasted. All right, enough about the Campbells and the Mint. If you want to know more information about the Mint, please ask me at the end of the tour. For those people who are into statistics and things about what we do. For example, this young gentleman here, you're actually sitting on top of one of our vaults. We have 3 vaults underneath the building, and in those vaults we hold over 4 billion, that's billion with a B, $4 billion worth of precious metals, gold, platinum and silver. So if you like statistics, ask me at the end of the tour. I'll tell you more about the Mint. But I want to move on to gold. So that's what you're here for, isn't it? Gold. So let's start with the gold rush. The West Australian gold rush. It started in 1892. For those kids with sheets, it started with the 2 gentlemen depicted in the statue over there. Their names were Arthur Bailey and William Ford. Arthur Bailey and William Ford. And their 2 prospectors camped at a place called Fly Flat. Now, for our overseas visitors, Fly Flat is where Coolgardie is today. It's 600 kilometres in that direction, just on the edge of the desert. They camped next to a dry creek bed. Why? Because in the old days, that's how you found gold. There were no metal detectors. You would hope that the winter rains washed out a few flecks of gold. If you could find them in a stream or a creek, find those flecks of gold, that told you there was gold in the area, and you could start digging, searching for gold. So they camped next to this dry creek bed and they've been panning away for 2 weeks. You know what they found? Nothing. Not a single thing. They're starting to run short on water and provisions when there's a huge storm, a massive deluge of rain. So much rain, in fact, creates a flash flood that sweeps through, wipes out their campsite completely. Not having much luck, these 2. The next morning, wet and bedraggled, they're searching for their possessions when, hang on, that looks like a bit of gold. There's another bit. There's another bit. In fact, a total of just over 17 kilograms of little gold nuggets did they pick up virtually off the surface. They were rich beyond their wildest dreams. Of course, when they staked their claim and spent some money, the newspapers heard about their find, started writing about the golden sands of Western Australia. So people started coming from near and far to find their fortune. So many people, in fact. In 1892, the population of Western Australia was just under 40,000 people. By 1895, it had climbed to over 150,000 people. Most of them here to make their fortune. But it wasn't easy. Firstly, you had to put all your possessions on like a wooden cart, trek 40 days in that direction. If you didn't get lost in the desert, you'd bump into the goldfields. Once there, you could start prospecting. But it was hot, dry, dusty work. There was a lack of water. There was diseases like typhoid. Most people didn't make it to the age of 40 on the goldfields. But if you discovered gold, it was life-changing. So let's talk about a couple of life-changing events. Being a proud West Australian, I want us to start with this discovery first. This one is called the Golden Eagle Nugget. Golden Eagle Nugget, because it looks a bit like a flying golden eagle. Or a baby. Yes. But that's not how it's got its name. It wasn't found by a prospector at all. It was found by a boy, probably around the age of that young lady there. He's prospecting just south of where Coolgardie is today with his dad. Dad's over there working hard. His name is Jimmy Larkham, and Jimmy is a teenager. He doesn't like to work too hard. He's just over here mucking around. There's a track that the wagons use and a dip in the track that the wagons bounce over. So he thought, oh, there's a bit of a hole there. I might as well just dig a bit further there. So he has a little dig. Very, very short way down. He hits something, pluck, digs it up. Kids, when you find gold in the bush, it doesn't look like this. It's covered in dirt and rocks. But he rubs the corner, realises he's got gold. It's so heavy he can hardly pick it up. Ah, Dad, gold, we're rich. We're so rich. Now the goldfields of Western Australia in 1931, still a little bit of the Wild West, still a few villains around. So his dad looks over at him and he goes, Jimmy, stop mucking around. Put down that dead eagle and get back to work. So Jimmy puts it down, he sits on it. When all is quiet, Dad comes and checks. Gold, rushing in here to the gold bullion people, trade it for cash. They are rich. Oh, what do they do with the money? Well, they live the great Australian dream, of course. They buy a pub. That's right. Bought the Excelsior Hotel, which they later renamed the Golden Eagle Hotel. And that's how the pub got its name. Now, if you're interested in finding gold, don't despair, because the scientists tell us we've probably only discovered about 20% of the gold that exists on Earth. That means there's 80% out there still to be found. Like this one from 1980, a fairly recent discovery called the Hand of Faith, found by a gentleman called Kevin Hillier, and he was very well read and very religious. He thought it looked a bit like a hand of faith, so that's what he called it. This is the 23rd largest gold nugget ever found. Remember, it's number 23 for me. Because, firstly I want to talk about number 1. That's right, the largest gold nugget ever found was found right here in Australia in 1869. 1869, it's called the Welcome Stranger. For those kids with sheets, it's called the Welcome Stranger. Found by a gentleman called John Deasy. Now John and his pal Mr. Oates were Victorian. They had adjoining properties. They were part farmers, part prospectors. One day John's there trying to get a tree out. He's hacking at the roots with his pickaxe, trying to get a tree out and clear a paddock. When whack, he hits something, breaks the handle of the pickaxe. He's furious. So when he gets the tree out, he looks in the hole. What does he find? A great, huge lump of quartz. But on top, where his pickaxe hit, he can see gold and a fleck of gold down here. So he says, there might be more gold in that quartz. I gotta get it out. But after a lot of digging, it's stuck. He can't get it out of the ground. So what he does is he runs next door to his friend Mr. Oates, who's got a horse and cart. They bring back the horse and cart, tie a rope around the welcome stranger, and with some horsepower and more digging, drag it out of the ground. Take the big lump of quartz home and stick it on the fire. Why? Because fire helps crack quartz. So for 10 hours it sat on the fire as they chipped away bits of quartz until the next morning they had a solid gold nugget. On the cart into town to the bank, hee-ha, and the bank said, sorry, we can't help you. It was too big for the bank scales to even weigh. Let's put it back on the cart. Trek 10 kilometres through the bush to the next largest town in Victoria called Denali. In Denali there's a friendly blacksmith armed with an axe who kindly chops the nugget into 3 pieces for them. They can weigh each of the 3 individual pieces for a total of 71.8 kilograms in gold. They are rich. Rich. Now this one, what number was it? 23, the 23rd largest nugget ever found, is actually the only one in existence. Kevin Hillier sold it to a casino in America at a private auction and received $1,001 in cash, US. If you want to see this one, you've got to fly to America, go to Las Vegas, go to the Gold Nugget Casino and check it out. Of course, we don't have to do that. Inside, we have the 2nd largest existing gold nugget found right here in Western Australia, plus a bunch of other treasures that I want to show you. So what we're going to do is we're going to head inside now and have a look. Follow me. Oh, and feel free to use the door on the right. Come on through. Gold! Tears of the sun god Ra. That's what the Egyptians believed. When the sun god Ra cried, his tears fell to earth, mixed with water, and became gold. Of course, that's not true. It's good to know a bit about gold, where it comes from and its properties. So starting off with kids. For those kids with sheets, gold comes from the stars. That's right, it's alien. Let me explain. As the Earth was forming, the scientists tell us it was hit by hundreds of millions of meteors and comets. Many of those comets contained gold, and that's how gold came to Earth, and that's why you only find it in certain places. Now, gold is an amazing material with very interesting properties. I have here 1 ounce of gold. Can everybody see that one? 1 ounce of gold. Okay? If you took 1 ounce of pure gold and stretched it out as a superfine wire, how far do you think it would travel before it snapped? Any ideas? Kilometres, an excellent guess. If I took 1 ounce of gold and stretched it out as a superfine wire, it will travel for just over 70 kilometres. That's incredible, 70 kilometres. I can take the same ounce of gold, beat it flat till it's virtually transparent, and I'll end up with a sheet of gold larger than this whole display case. Gold is an amazing material. That's very important for astronauts, for example. An astronaut's visor is actually covered in a sheet of gold. Transparent enough that they can see through it, but because they're outside the atmosphere, helps protect their eyes from the rays of the sun. Gold is used in all sorts of interesting and fascinating ways in modern technology, including this. That's right, you're looking at a 99.99% pure gold coin. This is not a replica or a plaster cast or chocolate covered in gold. No, no, no. This is the real thing. It was made for the CHOGM meeting of 2011. CHOGM stands for Commonwealth Heads of Government. The heads of government came from around the Commonwealth to a meeting here in Perth, to which the Queen attended, the late Queen attended, and the coin was unveiled. On one side, you have the red kangaroo representing Australia and the weight of 1 tonne, 1,012 kilograms. On this side, you have the Queen's head and the value, $1 million. Now, this is a very interesting coin for a number of reasons. Firstly, underneath the Queen's head, these on this side should be able to see the little letters IRB. That means that this coin is valid Australian currency, just like the $1 coin you would have in your wallet or purse. So we can take this coin, we can roll it down Hay Street, roll it into the bank and say, pay me. And they'd be legally obligated to give you exactly what it says on the coin, $1 million in cash. But you'd be pretty silly to do that, because this coin also has a gold value. So we take it around the corner, roll it into our gold bullion room, say, pay me the value in gold. And at today's gold price, they're going to hand you a smidge over $102 million. That's right. You're looking at over $100 million right there. That's incredible. But wait, if you're really smart, like my mate Kev and the Hand of Faith, you probably take it to private auction because it's unique, it's one of a kind, it's handmade. It holds the Guinness World Book of Records for the world's largest gold coin. So at private auction, who knows what a private collector would pay for it? Well over $100 million for sure. But it's not the only thing we have here. In a minute, we're going to head down this way and go past a whole lot of glass cases. Inside the first glass case is the Newmont Normandy, the second largest existing gold nugget found right here in Western Australia. Going past them is a whole bunch of nuggets. Then on the right-hand side, you'll see a big lump of quartz called the King Henry. It's a huge lump of quartz with gold running through it, so you can see what that looks like and what I was talking about. Going past that, we have a vault. Inside the vault is a safe. Inside the safe is a 12-kilogram gold bar that you're allowed to pick up. I challenge you to go and pick up the 12-kilogram gold bar, and in your head then add 1,000 kilograms, and you'll realise how heavy this coin is. Now, over on this side, we have a coin press. You can take that token you were given at reception, drop it into the coin press, and watch a new coin be stamped, slide out for the kids to keep as a memento of their visit. Past that, we have a set of scales. That's right, we're going to weigh you all today. No, don't panic. It doesn't tell you your weight. It tells you your value in gold. The gold price has recently jumped $300. That means I am worth a smidge under $10 million. I hope my wife appreciates that. Then all the way down on the right-hand side, we have the melt house, the original melt house from 1899, where gold has been poured every day until today. $18.99, and gold has been poured every day done with machines, it's all automated, the gold pourer is just there to make sure nothing goes wrong. But right through from 89 onwards, gold was poured in the traditional way. Now gold pouring is dangerous stuff. We're dealing with a furnace at over 1200 degrees Celsius. Why so hot? Because the melting point of gold is 1064 degrees Celsius. So you've got to get the gold well above that. Once it's well above that temperature, it will start to melt. When it's fully melted, it's clear. It will start to swirl and become quite sticky. At that point, I can pour it. Now, because gold pouring is such dangerous stuff, the first thing I should do is acknowledge the bravery of these people sitting here in the splash zone. Very courageous of you. No, you're perfectly safe right where you are. Safety is very important to the Perth Mint, so I want to cover off a couple of safety things before we start. Firstly, the most dangerous part of the pour is of course the pour itself. So you can take as much video or photos as you like, but please turn off your flash. Don't flash me as I'm pouring the gold. Same thing if your phone is machine gun fire or a cannon firing is your ringer. Please don't scare me just as I'm pouring the gold. And at all times, please remain seated during the pour. This is particularly important, kids. Please remain seated. The reason is, not only does it mean everyone can see, but if you stand up, sometimes you can knock the seat and fall and go bang. So please remain seated while I'm doing the pour. Lastly, if something does happen, alright, or the alarms go off, what we're going to do is we're going to calmly and quietly follow stuff done. We can get on with the tour, talk about the melt house. Original melt house from 1899. There used to be 14 furnaces along here, 14 of them, 12 of them going at any one time, because of course the gold rush was on, gold was flowing through the doors like water. If you look closely, you can see the holes in the walls. That's where the air vents were, to pump the air in to get the furnaces as hot as possible. When we decided we would make this an exhibition space, we took those furnaces out. Well, we didn't throw them on the rubbish heap. No. Remember I said gold is sticky at those very high temperatures? Flecks of gold stick to the inside of the furnace, the walls, all sorts of things. So we took the old furnaces, we crushed them down, put them through the process at the new refinery. In today's money, what did we get out? Over $2 million worth of gold came out of the old furnaces. That means there's gold in them there walls. Lots and lots of gold. No sir, put away your hammer and chisel. We can't touch it. Nationally listed heritage building. We're not allowed to touch it at all. So that gold is going to stay there forever. But we had to make this area safe for you, so we were allowed to touch the ceiling. We didn't bring in a person with a fire hose. No. We brought in a cherry picker, set a gentleman up with a wire brush and a pan. It was his job to scrape every inch of the ceiling and collect the dust. Once we had all the dust out to the new refinery through the process, in today's money, over $200,000 in gold came off the ceiling. There's gold in them there walls. Now we can't just put the gold in the furnace. It would stick to the furnace. We need to put it in something. So what we put it in, what is called a crucible. It's just a super high fired clay pot with a carbon outer lining, very, very strong, able to withstand gold pouring in those extreme temperatures for about 10 to 14 days. This is a brand new one. Here's one that lasted the full 14 days. As you can see, it's rough and pitted, but it's holding its shape. Technically, I could still pour gold with that. Oh, we don't chuck these on the rubbish tip either. No. I'm probably holding about $950 worth of gold tiny little gold flakes embedded in the inside of the crucible. Now, as I said, gold pouring is dangerous stuff. Things can and do go wrong, as happened in this instance. It was a gold pour just like this one. The gold pourer lifted the crucible out of the furnace, saw drops of gold coming from the bottom, went, oh, that's not good. Got it back into the furnace just in time. The bottom fell out, splush, big pancake of gold in the bottom of the furnace. Hopefully that won't happen to us today. Now spare a thought for those original gold pourers from 1899 onwards. No lock health and safety in those days. They were given a little leather apron like this one and leather gloves. If they didn't have leather gloves, they'd wrap material around their arms and hands to protect themselves from the heat, and they'd pour gold all day long. Eventually, lock health and safety came in, which was great, and they put more fans in, did all sorts of things, including, oh, we better give them new fireproof aprons. So they took away those little leather ones, gave them lovely new fireproof aprons made of asbestos. Very fireproof, not so good for your health. Of course, today I have the latest in protective equipment. I'll quickly run through it for you. On the bottom, we have steel cap boots to protect my toes. Oh, hang on. That's better. Steel cap boots to protect my toes. On top of that, these leather things called spats. Spats are quite important because if the liquid gold falls here, it will roll off the spat rather than burning into my boot. On top of that, fireproof clothing all the way up. On top of that, a heat-proof smock. And finally, this lovely couture apron that I'm wearing. For those of you who are Australian or New Zealander, you understand merino wool. Fantastic substance, will not burn, will not burst into flames, protecting me on the underside. On the outer side, aluminium, very good for reflecting heat away from me. And then finally, sandwiched between the two, a layer of Kevlar, very, very strong, excellent fireproof material. I'll also be wearing Kevlar gloves. I'm going to put the microphone down now and I'll show you this couple of other things. I turn the furnace off, I'll have a maximum of 70 seconds to get the gold into the mould before it will start to form little chunks and become hard to pour. So I've got to move quite quickly. I'll start over here. The first thing I'm going to do is turn off all the lights. This will give you a great view and great photos of the gold pour. With the lights off, I'll step over here, turn off the furnace. Once the furnace is off, I can approach it. I'll use this handle to lift the center. That's the very outer micro layer of the gold already starting to harden. While that's happening, I'm going to come over here, change out of these buffs into these with fingers. It gives me more dexterity, which will allow me to grab this pan and place it here on the tray. Once it's on the tray, kids, I need your help, or young people of any age. I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. I want you to count down 3, 2, 1 with me as loud as you can. Once we hear 1, adults, I need all the inspiration I can get. So if you want to shout out something motivational like, "Go Jeff, you're awesome Jeff," you feel free to do that. Once we hit 1, after that, I'm going to flick out the gold bar onto the tray. If I've done it correctly, I'll hold it up so that you can see what a red hot gold bar looks like. Then we'll put it in the water, leave it there to get cold. Once it's cold, I can tip it out on this towel here and give it a dry. This wet gold is slippery, so I'll dry it off, and then I should be able to step over here and show you a solid bar of gold. At that point, I would expect a thunderous round of applause, because we'll have succeeded and nothing will have gone wrong. Are you ready? Yeah. Well, that wasn't dreadfully inspirational at all. Are you ready?
Yes!
Let's do it. Here we go. Alright kids, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Now, I'm not worried about you stealing my gold at this point. That is very, very hot. So let's get in the water and cool it down. While that's cooling, spare a thought for those original gold pourers. When I lifted that lid, you would have felt the wave of heat come across. Imagine 12 of them, all going full pelt. Got so hot in this room in the middle of summer, they regularly recorded temperatures in the thermometer at the back of the room above 55 degrees Celsius. So imagine how hot it was up here. And as I said, they had no health and safety, no health plans, no superannuation. Well, actually, they had their own super plan. It worked like this. They would get up in the morning, put on their boots and overalls, shave, real cream their hair, make themselves beautiful. Come in and pour gold all day long. Now, those people that here at the front, right at the end of that pour, you might have seen two tiny sparks flick out. They were very, very, very small. If you saw them, they were just like a tiny spark. But they're not actually sparks, they're flecks of gold. So the gold pourers will keep their eye out for those. I can see one just there. They keep their eye out for them. Lick their fingers, lean on the pan, pick up those flecks of gold, sweep their hands through their hair, because it was hot in here. As you worked it out, the gold would stick to the brill cream. So they do that all day long. When they got home that night, their wife would grab tweezers, pick out the bits of gold from their hair, start a pile. That was their superannuation plan. Very clever. All right. That's starting to look like a gold bar. Kids, do you think we can touch it yet? Yes. We can. Gold is a superconductor. Heats up, cools down very, very quickly. It's already cool to the touch.
It doesn't crack.
No, it doesn't crack. A little bit of a wash. Tip it out here. Give it a dry. And ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a solid bar of gold. Now, bars of gold, I can't actually sell it yet. I can't sell my bar of gold yet. The reason being, bars of gold need 4 seals before you can sell them, okay? You need 4 seals. Up the top, you need the maker's seal. In our case, the idolised one of the Perth Mint. Underneath that, you need a purity seal. This one is 99.99% pure gold. Underneath that, you need a weight. This one is 200 troy ounces. Troy ounces is their fancy way of measuring gold. In layman's terms, about 6 kilograms of gold. And finally, down the bottom, they stamp a serial number so they can track their bars. Once I've done all that, I can sell my bar of gold. At today's gold price, for about $660,000. That's right, I'm holding a house in my hand. $660,000. Now, for that reason, you can't touch this one. That handsome security guard will rush in, throw you to the ground. No, he won't do that. But you can't sell this one. You can't touch this one. What you can do is go into the vault, go to the safe, pick up the 12 kilogram gold bar, feel how heavy gold is. It's an amazing substance. All right. That pretty much brings us to the end of our tour today. If you're one of those people who likes doing reviews, please go on TripAdvisor or the Perth Mint website, or we have some paper ones out there on the green machine. And if you didn't enjoy the tour, my name is Betty. Have a lovely day, folks.